Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Bill Ritter of Channel 7 Eyewitness News, WABC-TV, and welcome to our live special election edition of The Countdown. Just one day to go, less than that, until the election. Donald Trump and Joe Biden tonight delivering their closing messages. More than 97 million Americans have already voted in this election. It's incredible because more than 2/3 of the total number of votes in 2016 is represented in the early voting in this election. Nevertheless, the candidates still blitzing those battleground states. President Trump holding rallies today in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Former Vice President Biden stumping in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And on this election eve, the latest and last Quinnipiac University poll shows Mr. Biden up 11 points nationally among likely voters and holding a rather steady lead in crucial battleground states of Ohio and Florida. With the latest, here's political reporter Dave Evans.
It is crunch time, and President Trump continues his sprint across the country. Today, 5 rallies in 4 states, while Joe Biden focuses on Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Thank you, Fayetteville and North Carolina. Thank you very much.
Folks, Ohio, one more day. One more day.
The latest polling shows Biden with a hefty 11-point lead. But Democrats, remembering 4 years ago, are now being carefully optimistic.
It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home. We're done. We're done with the chaos. We're done with the tweets, the anger, the hate, the failure.
This election has become a referendum on President Trump and his handling of the pandemic. Today, he again predicted the end of it is close.
We will mass distribute the vaccine in just a few short weeks. It will quickly eradicate the virus and wipe out the China plague once and for all.
Look, the first step to beating the virus is beating Donald Trump.
Joe Biden is looking to expand the electoral map, and today, Barack Obama campaigned for him in the deep red state of Georgia, hoping to flip it blue. Today, Obama ridiculed Trump and his big rallies.
Last night, on his COVID spreader tour, he's going around spreading COVID. He's like a carrier because he cares more about having big crowds than he does about keeping people safe.
The latest polling shows Biden leading in the all-important state of Pennsylvania. Also, he's ahead in Florida by 5 points, and even in Ohio, Biden is now leading by 4, but President Trump, he just doesn't believe it.
I think we win this state, we win Pennsylvania, we're going to win Florida, we win Pennsylvania, and we're going to win the whole thing.
That was political reporter Dave Evans reporting. We want to take a closer look at the key states to follow tomorrow night as you watch our coverage. Let's take a look at the map first from 2016, which saw President Trump collect 306 electoral votes en route to his upset victory of Hillary Clinton, even though she had nearly 3 million votes more. If Joe Biden is able to flip the 3 Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, you can see he will be over that 270 electoral vote threshold and would be the next president. But if President Trump holds Pennsylvania and the other states he won 4 years ago, he could afford to lose Wisconsin and Michigan and still be reelected. That's why there's been so much focus on the Keystone states in the closing weeks of this campaign. Wow. Joining us more to talk about the battleground states, ABC News political director Rick Klein and our political consultant, Hank Scheinkoff. Gentlemen, how tight is this? You know, what we didn't mention in that map was Florida, because if Mr. Trump doesn't win Florida, as he insists he will, even though the latest polls show him down by 5, he doesn't have much of a path. Rick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Joe Biden has more paths to the presidency. He can win a Sunbelt state like Florida, like North Carolina, like Georgia. He could even win Texas or Arizona. That all would open up other opportunities for him and give him some margin for error in the upper Midwest. You're right in your analysis. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, boom, that's the presidency for Joe Biden. He's got some margin for error just because he has other states that he's competitive in. And, man, those polls in Pennsylvania, they're narrow, but they are consistent. Poll after poll has Joe Biden slightly above 50 and Donald Trump in the 43, 44 range. It would have to all be wrong in a massive way for Donald Trump to be able to come out on top in Pennsylvania.
Hank, what do you think? What's your take on Florida, and what do you think of what Rick said?
I think Rick's entirely correct. We've kind of talked about this before. In all these months, Pennsylvania is ground zero. Give Florida to Trump. Put the Midwest Rust Belt states together. And Biden will also have some cushion because look at the numbers in Nevada and Arizona. Arizona flipping to be blue would be a significant thing. Put that together, and you've got Trump beaten. But you lose Pennsylvania, and guess what? Joe Biden will be going back to Delaware.
You know, obviously, Rick, last time there was a lot of questioning about the polls and everything else. These are more consistent. There's not the flip-flopping that there has been there and there was in 2016. And even though people are, saying, well, don't worry, the pollsters are wrong, there is more consistency, as you said. What do you say, though, to those Republicans who will say, you know what, a lot of Trump supporters don't talk to pollsters. They don't want to talk to pollsters, and they're not included in all this.
Well, then prove them all wrong with the voting, because there's nothing else that can be done. There's not just more polls, but there's better methodology in the state level polls. And we have tried as a news organization to reach voters of all stripes. We've talked to a lot of Donald Trump supporters. We do extensive modeling and weighting to try to reflect the electorate, to try to reflect the population. If it's possible that the polls are wrong and Donald Trump wins again, he would need the polls to be more wrong, even substantially more wrong than they were in 2016. So again, not to say it's impossible, but it would go against really every piece of data science that we've had developed around this campaign.
Speaking about data and science, Hank, Mr. Trump, you heard him in the package by Dave Evans saying, this coronavirus, which is the #1 issue in the country. There's no question about that, because it affects the economy, which is in a recession still. He's saying the virus is going to be over because we got to get a vaccine in a matter of days, and soon this will all be a thing of the past very quickly.
He's talking to people in the states he won in the past and in places he should win easily, who are now ground zero for COVID. The COVID problem has extended into areas that Donald Trump should win, and that's one of the reasons why he's lagging in the polls, and people are not stupid. They got the point. They know it's not round in the corner, and they know it's not disappearing. But he's got to get enough people to believe that. The problem, again, is in states he should be doing well, COVID has taken him over as well.
Rick, Mr. Trump had blasted Joe Biden for staying inside his basement sometimes during this campaign. He did not do what Hillary Clinton did last time, which is he went out and he's out pounding the pavement on this campaign.
Yeah, look, he won't lose because he wasn't paying attention to the states that matter. Wisconsin and Michigan have both gotten a lot of attention, even in the time of COVID, and particularly Pennsylvania. Joe Biden is working Pennsylvania. He is from Scranton. He started his campaign in Pittsburgh a year plus ago. He has put so much focus in that state. You can't come away. There's any honest reading of the map. You have to come back to Pennsylvania as being critical. And he's focused on it. Now, he's also sought to expand the map. And people will ask if Biden falls short, what was he doing in Georgia a week out? Why did Kamala Harris go to Texas a couple days out? Why did he even stop in Ohio as he did even the election today? But that's all part of their strategy to expand things a little bit, make Donald Trump continue to play defense, and potentially, if you're Joe Biden, win not just barely, but convincingly, and then deliver a statement about Donald Trump and a statement that can help you start governing in January.
How much of these, Hank, you've run campaigns before, how much are each of these candidates thinking about their acceptance speech tomorrow night?
Trump's already figured it out in his mind, because he's not leaving if he doesn't have to, unless it's overwhelming. He's going to protest and try to stay there. Joe Biden's probably not thinking about that. He's probably thinking about how he wins. But going back just one moment, Donald Trump brought this all upon himself, and people have figured out that the COVID issue and how he's handled it is just the way he's going to lose this race, and that's the way it goes.
Rick, we saw some Trump supporters, many, blocking bridges and streets and whooping it up yesterday. It was quite a scene on the Mario Cuomo Bridge, the old Tappan Zee Bridge, which you know well, both of you gentlemen know well, and the Trump supporters were just stopped there in the middle of the day. What did you make of that? And the president talked about also when they surrounded a tour bus of the Biden campaign, the campaign bus of the Biden campaign. The president just quickly pivoted to Antifa.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. And in fact, these are illegal activities. I look, the enthusiasm is out there. If you want the best spin on it possible, Bill, people are into this election. People are out there displaying their support. The shy Trump voter doesn't seem so shy right now when they're shutting down bridges and highway caravans. People are motivated. They are energized. They're voting in large numbers, too. It's not just the demonstrations. Now, I don't know what the point of shutting down traffic is. That kind of pissed me off. If I'm behind them, I'm not going to be more likely to vote for someone as a result of it. But it's maybe a novel way to show your political allegiances. And again, just an indication. And we're also like on a powder keg right now. And I think there's another piece of this that, we all have to be careful living the next couple of hours and days. The boarded up windows, not a great sign. My hometown of Washington is really almost abandoned downtown. it's not a great look, and we're all just on edge at these moments.
Hank, my bagel shop on the Upper West Side, it's got boards put up there. The bank on the Upper West Side, across the street, windows boarded. It's a frightening experience, and they're ready for anything.
Get ready for anything, because the country is, as Rick said, on a powder keg. One of the reasons you see this very clearly is that people have been told that their vote is not going to be counted, and they're responding appropriately. They've been told also it's okay to remove mailboxes that you could put a mail-in vote into, right? And they know it's a conspiracy to stop them from voting. So on one side of it, you have this attempt to defend democracy, and on the other side, you have an attempt to defend the Trump presidency. Okay. What will occur? Well, if those two forces meet, and this is not decided early or quickly, this could be very serious for the country's ability to maintain some sense of control and order.
Quick prediction. I'm not going to ask you who's going to win. I'm going to ask you, what do you think when we'll find out about it? Hank, we'll start with you and give Rick the last word.
Depends how significant the margin is. If it's big, you'll know quick. If it's not, you won't know quick. Simple.
Right. And Rick, your answer, but I also want you to say, what is it that your guys are going to be doing tomorrow with your whole team of political reporters, and how's that going to go?
Well, we're going to be diving in on the numbers and the data and being very careful about what we're analyzing. The decision desk is going to be looking at things and in novel ways, because we know that the process of voting, the country's been disrupted in such major ways. The answer to how long the night is going to be really will be based on a couple of the states that have relatively early poll closings and also vote pretty quickly. Look at Florida, look at North Carolina, look at Georgia, look at Ohio. I talked to the Secretary of State there today. They're going to have a lot of vote counted. And if any of those states go to Joe Biden, then even if Joe Biden may not get the 270 votes on election night, it's going to be pretty clear where the election is headed. Now, if Donald Trump holds the Sun Belt, if all of those states stay red, then we're in for a dogfight. That's the scenario that leaves us well into Wednesday, Thursday, or even Friday before you get a final answer out of the critical states.
Or Friday of what week are you talking about? Because we might be in for the long haul, as you well know. All right. Rick Klein, Hank Scheinkoff, thank you both, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to come back on the countdown if we have this drawn out for any length of time, and I hope you do come back. You have given us and our viewers insight and wisdom, and I appreciate it a whole lot from the bottom of my heart. I mean that to both of you.
Thank you, Bill. It's been a blast.
Meanwhile, the anticipation for the election obviously high, but so is the anxiety. Yes, every election's like that, but this is different. From the West Coast to the Midwest to the South and right here at home in the Northeast, businesses, as Rick said, boarding up, fearing protests and unrest are likely. In Midtown Manhattan, look at this. Luxury stores up and down Fifth Avenue, now with plywood covering their windows. This is an election in America. City leaders in the NYPD saying they're not sure what to expect, but they say we will be prepared. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Safan Kim.
We are prepared now. I think we shouldn't prejudge. I think we're going into something that we haven't experienced before.
But here's an image we have seen before. Unsettling to some New Yorkers, a sign that civil unrest may be heading our way. Today on the Upper East Side, windows boarded up and painted black. This morning it was Saks and up and down Fifth Avenue. Over the weekend it was Soho. Friday, the Miracle on 34th Street. Macy's looking like it's bracing for a storm instead of for Black Friday. With the fear of civil unrest on Election Day, anxiety is through the roof. But the mayor says no need to worry.
I checked in with our police commissioner last night. We do not have any specific reports or specific threats at this point.
You've come from across the city, and you've literally come from across the globe.
At the Police Academy in College Point, Queens, the police commissioner today is swearing in the first class of recruits since budget cuts and since the pandemic came roaring into New York. 900 recruits speaking 27 different languages, continuing to make the NYPD the most diverse police department in the nation. But heading into tomorrow, the NYPD is about 1,800 officers short of where the ranks were last year. And the commissioner reminding recruits the eyes of the world are on New York City cops.
There's a national conversation going on right now about what policing should look like. I would say to you, don't be defensive about it. Embrace it. You are now a part of that history.
Police officials, though, aren't sure if boarding up is necessary, and they say they're better prepared now than when rioting and looting erupted over the summer.
People have a right to peacefully demonstrate. People don't have a right to break the law. And we're very clear on the distinction, and the distinction will be enforced.
Very big distinction, to be sure. That was Safan Kim reporting for us on Eyewitness News. We mentioned how millions of people have already cast their ballots, 97 or so million. If you have not done that, this is what you need to know. In New York, the polls will be open from 6 in the morning until 9 at night. If you have an absentee ballot, you must make sure it is postmarked by Election Day. That's tomorrow. And if you do not want to mail in that absentee ballot, you can bring it to a polling place or a Board of Elections office by 9 p.m. tomorrow. In New Jersey, the polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 8 at night. Since every voter was sent a mail-in ballot, there are far fewer polling places open tomorrow in New Jersey. Voters there will be given what's called a provisional ballot to make sure they do not vote twice. And if you still have an absentee ballot in New Jersey, it must be postmarked by tomorrow, Election Day. You can also bring it to your polling place or put it in a secure drop box by 8 p.m. That's when the polls close. Finally, in Connecticut, polls are open, just like New Jersey, 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. If you haven't registered to vote yet, it's not too late in Connecticut. How about that? You have to go to your town's Election Day registration location and take note. If you have any absentee ballot, you can drop it off at a ballot box outside of your town hall. This is how you can stay up to speed on all of our election news tomorrow. ABC News live election coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 7. And right here, streaming live at 8 p.m. on ABC7NY, we'll have continuous coverage with real results, real-time results of not only the presidential election, but of course, all of our local races. What a day, what a year between COVID and the presidential race. We're all in this together. We are. Until then, I'm Bill Ritter, and for all of us here at wabc-tv and abc7ny.com, wishing you health and peace, and take care of each other.